Hello everybody, it is Friday the 7th of March and I want to talk about NPCs, about non-player characters. And that the word, again NPC, that they do not play is actually false. They very much play, and I want to show you this here. They play a part. Now, this word NPC is usually used by those that are in the awakened crowd. Yeah? We are awakening to the truth, and they have not. So they are not players. Well, they may not be players in your game, in your goal. They play for a different goal, but they're definitely playing. And to disregard them, I think will turn out to be a serious mistake, a very serious mistake. It will have serious consequences. Now, for starters, if we enter into this world and we are taking the form of human, we're born as a human being, that in itself signifies that you were a consciousness, an energy that had a high level of self-awareness when you came here. And that is actually signified by the form. And that is, you are, man is a certain level of consciousness. Self-conscious. There are other levels here. There's the animal, there's the vegetative, and there is the mineral. Everything is consciousness. Everything is. But there are different levels of self-consciousness. And if you go from man to the animal, to the plant, to the mineral, the level of self-consciousness decreases. So you are man, if you are human, that means from the start, you were a consciousness and energy that had a high level of self-consciousness. So, and that is your starting point, born into this world. Now in this world, you can become aware of what you are. You can change what you are. You can create yourself. First of all, you need to be aware of what you are before you can even start consciously changing what you are. Or you can lose it. You can lose self-awareness. Again, NPCs are not born. They're created. And they're created in this world. That is self-consciousness that came here and that was, for the most part, deliberately destroyed. They were destroyed. Whereas, again, and there's to me, there's two different kinds of NPCs. Because there's two different ways of destroying consciousness, being self-conscious. There are two ways, clear ways in this world, two teachings that through the word, through the practice of the teaching, will create the loss of self-consciousness. One is the pursuit of all, or the idea that I can be all, which you can't. No part can be all. And it will be destroyed in the pursuit. The Hermetics knew that. That is one part of the old Hermetic wisdom. That the pursuit of all will first of all make you unfit for life, and it will lead to insanity. And insanity is losing the plot, and it is the I am that has the plot. That means that there is a destruction of self that will then outwards show itself as insanity. It is a destruction of self. So again, there are those that preach that. In fact, both ways preach the destruction of self as reaching a higher level of consciousness, of becoming a higher being of energy and light, which is a really, really nasty deception. Again, I show you this here. The loss of self is not enlightenment. It is the exact opposite. But as I said, so this is the one way. And that is what I call the spaced out crew. And in a way, I would say they might be the only true non-players. You know, once they get into that state, they no longer take part in anything that is happening here. They're out of it. They're literally out of it. Yeah? I mean, they're still dangerous in that, of course, they make more and more disciples, therefore they destroy more and more people. But they're mainly dangerous to the individual, because it is the destruction of the individual. The other way of losing self, of losing consciousness, of losing self-consciousness, they are definitely players, and they can and will, I think will, if we allow it, they will become weapons of mass destruction. So let's go to the other group. So here you have the loss of self, the loss of consciousness, becoming unconscious through the pursuit of all, the knowledge of all, being all, going into the all. The other way is the pursuit of one. And yet they are polar opposites. Yeah, one is all and one is really riddling it down to one in the field of all possibilities. But the one will also lead to loss of consciousness. And that is the way of Jesus. And again, in the New Testament, there are so many teachings, yeah, like the teaching of you should hate your mother and father, and if you want to be my disciple, if you want to go on my way. The teaching of forgive those that come up against you, forgive those that do you wrong, forgive all the time. If you're completely gone, you turn the other cheek. All those teachings are designed to create a loss of self, of making a person unconscious, to create, which will not be a non-player. Yet, make no mistakes, they are players and they will be players. They're just no longer playing for themselves, because they have no more self. They will have no more self in the end. And it was the way of Jesus. It was the complete loss of self in service to the one. Yeah? That is the way that creates the outcome. The outcome is you. You are that which has lost consciousness. Now, first of all, that this teaching of, you must hate your mother and father, it is the way of every narcissist. It is the way of every cult. And by the way, but in the Old Testament, it was the same. If God calls you, He takes you away from your family and into the wilderness. As I say, it's the way of every narcissist and of every cult to separate their victims from their family setting, from their usual setting in the web of life, and their natural setting in the web of life. They separate them from that. And that is what that teaching does. You should hate your mother and father and follow me. That is the first step. That is the separation. Yeah? And then, especially in a cult setting, but no, also in a narcissist setting, they will start opposing their will, which will hurt. It will hurt. Because if you still, at that moment, you still have a self that will speak up against it. And it will create conflict, and it will create hurt. So, then the teaching of, oh, you would be so much more a great being. Yeah? Or if you would love me, if you would truly love me, you would do these things and you shouldn't speak against them. Again, the way of the narcissist, the way of the cult. And here is forgive them. Yeah, that do things against you. Forgive them, love them. You must love God. You must love the narcissist. You must love your cult leader. Yeah? You must start, well, first of all, you forgive the wrong that they're doing you. You know, you're beating yourself up into loving them. And at some point, you must trust anyway in their complete infallibility. You know, that's another thing that you need to get into the head. They're right. And if it causes you pain, then that is because you are in ignorance and you do not see their light, so to speak. Yeah. And again, that is destroying somebody's self. Their self-esteem, their knowledge of self, their self. It is the way of the narcissist and of the cult. And that is the teaching of the cross. It is the destruction of self. Where you are being destroyed, to be ruled over by somebody else. And that it is something else will have power over you. And there is religion, narcissism, cults. They are about power, about the power of the one over others through the destruction of their self. That is what's happening. Okay, now to say, again, they are non-players. They're not. I mean, first of all, obviously they give of their energy, of everything they do to God, the cult leader, the narcissist, in their little relationship, whatever. So they're doing something. It's not they're doing nothing. But, and here comes the but, as they have lost any self-determination and any reasoning according to self, and here, if self is a human being, they have lost any kind of reasoning according to a human being, which again, that the laws, the do's and the don'ts, come out of the natural setting that we live in. The knowledge of good and bad, so to speak, comes out of that setting, out of the natural setting. Again, the knowledge of good and bad is now being dictated from above, and the one that they follow sets good and bad to what serves him, not what is good for what serves him. God must be served, his will must be done, you must love him. Right, so they do something, they serve the one that, again, it can be used in religion, it can be used in politics, two wings of the same bird. One can be a god, one can be a person, a leader, one can be a cause. To fully commit yourself to the one cause. And then you start doing things that are neither rational nor in any way, shape or form human, like you're following the course of climate change, and you're, again, tunnel vision on the one thing, focused on the one, serving the one, and you start gluing yourself to roads and God knows what. Again, that is loss of reason, and that is loss of self, because it is the self that is the center of reason. But in this form at the moment, through acquiescence, through doing what they are told to do, I mean, like in religion, they're running around with their little leaflets trying to make more disciples. That is what they're ordered to do at the moment, at this moment. And again, they're not non-players, they're doing something. Yeah, they're trying to make more disciples. They're very active. But, and here comes, it depends on the order they're given that will create the outcome, or will determine what they do. Again, they have no self-determination. And they are the ones that can become the mindless tools of war. They can become very much players that have an impact in this world. Make no mistake. To disregard them and to say they're nothing, I say non-player is the wrong term. And again, we may be given this term, and we may be given the way of looking at them to a purpose, so that we disregard them when we shouldn't. They're not non-players. They're not playing. We've already seen this in this world. Fanatical, those that are fanatical in a political ideology, those that are fanatical in a religious teaching, those that go and blow themselves up for the glory of a god or something like that, those that go to war and turn into completely inhuman animals. And what they're doing. So do not disregard those that have lost self. Don't disregard those that are not searching for self. They are potentially the most dangerous thing in this world, because they are the ones that can be led. And they will be led. They were created for that purpose. So they can be led. So they can become tools to a will, and they will do that. If they lost self enough, they will do that. I mean, coming back to a suicide bomber, there is a very high level of loss of consciousness of self. Because there is the last point of self, that is self-preservation. Even that is gone. That was gone in Jesus when he went to the cross. When he completely lost self to the point of self-preservation, and willingly went to the cross. So, no, NPCs are not born. And NPCs are not created by nature or by this world. But they are created by those in this world that want power, either want power or want people out of the way. As I said, the loss of self in the all, they are truly non-players. They're no longer playing in this world. The others are not. And if they're not armies now, then they're only sleepers. They're waiting to get triggered. And they can be triggered. And the plan might be that they are going to be triggered. And then find out how much of a non-player they actually are. Now, last thing I want to say, and that is those that are in the search of who are we? Yeah, what is our purpose? Why are we here? So I said before, you come into this world, if you take the form of human, if you take the form of the level of man, means you have a high level of self-consciousness, and you were that before you came. So what you can do in this world is find out what it does. Yeah, you know, what am I? What are my energies? What can I do with those energies? You can find out who you are. You can change who you are, or somebody else can change it for you. But you can change it yourself. Here is where you can change. Through being self-conscious and aware of what you are and what you work. You can strengthen yourself, you can change yourself, you can lose self. All of those things are possible in this world. So to say, I want to know self and look anywhere else but at yourself in your own life, this is where you see yourself. This is where you know yourself. Right? This is where you experience the consequences of what you are. And by that, knowing yourself. Stop looking somewhere else. See it here. See yourself here. Because you can. And again, these states of consciousness, where you lose self, either in all or in the pursuit of one. Those are states that we are capable of. Those are, I think, the outer reaches of what we can reach with consciousness before we lose it completely. And it's gone. And the I am no longer exists. That's in the all, that's burning up in the all. That's the death of the soul. That is death of consciousness. So those are the outer reaches. They are extremes. Now in our lives, again, entering into the all, it seems to me that was a practice that would bring knowledge. They were seekers of knowledge, and it seems to have worked in some way. Again, the Hermetics have warned about the danger of that practice. So that is an extreme thing to do, and extreme things should only be done in extreme circumstances, when there is no other way. The other way, the pursuit of one. Right, there are times where we need to focus, where something specific needs to be done and needs to, again, it might be, again, in an extreme situation where something absolutely has to be done and you have to drop everything else and just focus on that one thing. It is absolutely essential that you do. And at that time, this focus on one serves. It serves a purpose, it serves you, and then you should do it. Others, if there is somebody in your field of life that absolutely needs help, that needs to be saved, let's say it like that. Here, if they are looking for help, if they are open to receiving help, if they have a true will to change, then maybe for a while you should focus all your energy on them to help them. And it can be done. Yeah? Again, that is if it must come from them. Yeah, they must be open to receive that help, otherwise it cannot work. Do not give all your energy to somebody who has no will of changing, but is there for the purpose of taking your energy and living of it. Those are the energy vampires. Again, They are here. They are all around you. Don't look for them in space or in another dimension, because then you don't see them when they're right in front of you, sucking you dry. It's all in this world. It is a knowledge of this world, of self in this world. So as I said, somebody is in help. You need, again, drop everything for a while to focus on them, be in service to them. Again, it is an extreme situation. It takes you out of your other life, out of. But if it's done for a period of time and for a purpose, yes, don't get stuck in those modes. Every mode that we can go into is for a specific situation. Yeah, we are multidimensional beings. We can have multiple states of consciousness, spaced out all the way, focused only on the one, everything in between. And every state does something different and can serve a different purpose. Don't get stuck in one. You are a multidimensional being. Stay that. And you are not reaching a higher level of consciousness by doing away with that. The pursuit of all, the pursuit of one, is not reaching a higher state of awareness or a greater state of awareness. It's losing awareness. Both ways will lead to the loss of consciousness, to the loss of knowledge of self. And if you do it in the pursuit of one, means you lose self and you can become the mindless minion to evil, a tool for evil. And that is most definitely not a higher enlightened state. So here is understand yourself, see yourself, see how this works, and stay self and have self-determination. You are the judge. This is your life. These are your energies. You are the master. You are the judge. And you're nobody's slave. Anyway, here, I leave it at that for today. And I talk to you again soon. Bye.